On this episode of Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery, I'm going to talk about the key technology that I'm using today.
Running a successful fee-based financial planning business is tough, and escaping the shackles of a commission-based financial planning practice is terrifying. When all you want to do is learn from those who know, learn from financial planners who are there on the front lines doing it each and every day. What if you could just open their kimono and take a look inside to learn what works and what doesn't? Now there's a place where the secrets to running a fee-based financial planning business are revealed to those who believe. Fee-based Financial Planning Mastery. Ease your mind.
Hi everyone, it's Scott Plaskett here, and thanks for joining me. In this podcast, you will learn what's working and what's not in the world of fee-based financial planning. In each episode, I'm going to open my kimono and let you take an insider's look at what's working and what's not in my practice to help you take your business to the next level. I've been a fee-based certified financial planner since the early 90s, so believe me, I know the challenges you're facing. So get ready to learn not from a teacher, coach, or guru, but from a colleague who's on the front lines just like you. And I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my email internet newsletter to get the most up-to-date tips on how to build and grow your fee-based financial planning practice by going to fee-basedfinancialplanningmastery.com. Now, we've been having some really interesting success, I guess we'll say, with the information on the Academy. Tons of people have been watching and commenting on the Academy information videos, so it's great to see. There's obviously a huge interest in the whole concept of fee-based financial planning and how to migrate your business over to that. So it's just great to see, and I appreciate all the comments, and I hope the information that everybody has been watching, I hope everybody enjoyed it. So I'd love to hear back from any of you on some of that. As well, the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery LinkedIn group. It has been, again, a huge success. In the very short period of time it's been launched, there's well over 100 group members, and I'm really happy to see that. The conversations that are going on in there are great. It was interesting as well. I was at an event the other day and got to meet a couple of great guys. One I've met in the past, and another one I met through the podcast. So, and then through the group. So it was really, really interesting and fun to meet such great people. So I'm really happy for that. So, anyways, lots going on with regards to fee-based financial planning, and the whole industry is sort of keeping their ears open and their eyes open for a lot of the latest and greatest. So I'm happy to be part of that. So, anyways, let's just dive right into the feature segment.
And now for our feature segment.
Now, I want to do a bit of an update on the technology that I'm using, because I've been getting a lot of questions from people just saying, hey, what are you using these days? And, I know you're using Salesforce, but, are you using other things with that? And so anyways, I thought I'd just do a quick overview of some of the technology that I'm using, because I've actually... how do I put it? I made some mistakes over the last little while, and we're correcting some of those mistakes with regards to the technology that we used. I was testing something, and it just didn't quite work out like I'd hoped. So we've actually gone back to our roots and made it even better. So I'm very excited about a lot of what we've been doing with regards to technology. So every so often I get questions from listeners asking me exactly about what technology am I using. So I kind of always smile when this comes in, because I always feel that, this is a bit of a Pandora's box. Whenever it comes to technology, I've really embraced technology in my practice, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So as a result, it does kind of open up. When you open up this Pandora's box, it can really suck you in, and you can lose so much time if you make some mistakes, and you really have to plan things out. But you can gain a ton of long-term productivity by really embracing technology. And if you put the time into things and plan it out properly, it is just an amazing result you can get. Something you may have heard me say in the past is, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And the technological advancements that are taking place is really where this statement came from, because over the years I've taken a look at technology, and people have tried to, sell me certain technologies, and I take a look at it, and they always highlight all the great things it can do. And I ask myself every time, okay, how is that going to make my life better? And just because it can do that, does it really, should it? Should I care about that? So Anyway, so let's just we can dive into some of the things, some of those points in this episode. Now, before you make any move into new technology, you really need to ask yourself one question. And that question is, what's my goal? So what are some common goals then? And let's talk about, what I'm using and how I'm using it. Okay. So, I mean, when you think about some of the goals, so what are some of the goals that you would be looking for technology to assist you with? Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is marketing automation. And, bottom line is that if you can't, or if you don't have anyone to speak to about your services, you'll go out of business pretty quickly. So marketing is important. Marketing is like air to a human being. I mean, without it, you will die pretty quickly. And so marketing is very important. So let's take a look at the goal called marketing automation. Now, with that is two words, two distinctly different things, wrapping up one goal. So let's look at marketing. So we'll look at the first part of it, marketing. Now, my method of choice is education-based direct response marketing. I think it's the most ethical form of marketing that exists today. Ethical because it doesn't pressure anybody to buy your services. It doesn't trick them into buying your services. You educate people on what it is that they want. And if you're the one who offers what they want, they will be more motivated to purchase from you because you've been the one that's created the relationship with them and you've educated them and you've built rapport with them. The great thing about this is that you can now make better business decisions on your marketing efforts because every aspect of this type of marketing is trackable. Now, let's look at the second part of this goal, which is automation. Now, I mean, most people's experience with marketing is to, send out an ad or send out a flyer or, put an ad in a magazine or some sort of a publication, and then see how many people they can turn into clients from that ad. Now, the reality is that most people don't receive any response from the ad. They get all this wonderful artwork done and it looks all glossy and beautiful and professional and all this sort of stuff, and they spend lots of money in putting it in, targeted magazines or newspapers or whatever, and then they don't really get any response. The problem is that studies show, and I got this stat from Dean Jackson, studies show that 50% of people who inquire about something will buy what it is that they inquired about. Okay, so 50% of everybody who wants to find out about something will eventually buy that thing that they were inquiring about. The problem is that only 15% of those people will buy within the first 90 days. Therefore, 85% of the people who are going to buy will do so over the next 18 months. See the problem? If you don't have an automated system to stay in touch with those leads, you're missing out on 85% of that business. And that doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the people that are looking for your great services, and it doesn't help you because you just end up losing touch. So this is where automation comes in handy. Because if you don't automate the process of lead nurturing from your marketing, you will not get results. So when it comes to technology, and really this is the whole essence of what we're talking about this today about, when it comes to technology around marketing, here's what I'm finding that's working very well. Content marketing, okay? Offering electronic content in exchange for a lead's name and email address. So what are the different types of content you can offer? Well, you can offer an ebook. You can offer special reports. You can offer videos, audio information, just like a podcast or something like that. Online courses. The online courses would be kind of cool. You could put together maybe a 6 or 7 step course program and just have it set up on an automated email, delivery where every week a new email gets released and they can sign up for it for free. And, so that's kind of neat. A recorded message where you can call into an 800 number and listen to a recorded message on a certain topic. We use a tool in the academy called the headline generator. And this headline generator is very cool because in the academy, oftentimes I get questions from people saying, well, I don't know what to write about, or I just, I've got writer's block and I just haven't been able to figure out what my next piece of content is. And I just don't know where to start. Well, I created what's called the headline generator. And what it is where you just go and really it's an idea generator. You click on the button, you say, okay, give me an idea. And it comes back and it gives you an idea. And then you can look at that and go, okay, well, putting that together, and it just stimulates some sort of a, the creative juices happening. If you don't like the one that's there, hit it again, and it comes up with another one. And if you find the one that you like, you click the copy button, and sure enough, you can paste it into the top of your blog post or your document or whatever, and just start writing. And what it does, I find, is it just generates, or it stimulates that initial response of, hey, you know what, that's kind of an interesting topic or an interesting way of phrasing it. And all of a sudden, your mind starts to go, oh, well, then I can talk about this or this or this. And it just sort of helps things flow along. So, ebooks, special reports, videos, audio, online courses, pre-recorded messages, that sort of thing. All of those are great electronic content tools or tools that you could use for delivering that content. Now, the great thing about that is once you've created it once, and then you just let the content keep delivering leads 24 hours a day. It's the quickest way, I've ever seen, and it works flawlessly. So here's the quickest way to develop meaningful content. I talked about in the academy, we've got the headline generator or the idea generator, but the best thing you can do is just simply go to your clients, go to your friends, go to your prospects, and ask the following question. What's the biggest frustration you have with my industry, with the financial industry? See, the great thing about this is that when you go to your friends or even friends in particular or family or some prospects or whatever, you're not trying to sell anything. You're just asking them honestly, listen, I'm a certified financial planner and and I do financial planning. I've just got a question for you. I'm just doing some market research. In our industry, what's the one thing that frustrates you the most? And just see what they have to say and ask a few people this question. And what you're going to find is there's going to be some common threads that seem to be coming up. Then, you're going to hear these common themes. And when you do, all you need to do then is create a piece of content that illustrates how to solve this frustration. Now you've got something that people are wanting. And you're not having to make this up from scratch. You just simply ask your friends, ask 10 friends, ask colleagues, coworkers, whatever it happens to be, and just say, what is your biggest frustration with the financial planning industry or the financial advisory industry or the investment industry or the insurance, whatever it happens to be. And then you can start to develop content that alleviates that or sort of answers those questions. Because when people answer that question for you, they're going to be answering it from an honest standpoint because there's no threat. It's not like they feel like, oh, if I answer this question, then you're going to suddenly come back and try to sell me something. You're just saying, hey, I'm just asking a basic question. What's the biggest frustration you have with the financial industry? So now you can promote your content. Not you. You're not promoting you anymore. The one thing that I don't know why people think that they always need to promote themselves, because honestly, it's too overbearing in this world. You need to promote the solutions. You need to promote the benefits. And so how do you do that? You simply create content and promote the content. What you want to do in exchange for the content is get their name and email address so you can continue to nurture that lead, because really what you're doing is you're asking people to raise their hand and say, are you interested in this topic? And all of a sudden you've narrowed and focused and filtered your market to the people that are just interested. And so you can speak to those topics. Ask yourself, what's the next question then? So once you've developed a piece of content, maybe it's on maybe the biggest frustration people have is poor performance in their investment accounts, or the fact that they never feel like anything that's being recommended to them is being recommended to them to benefit them. They feel it's being recommended to benefit the advisor. Well, answer that question in your piece of content, but then ask yourself, once you've read that content or once you've listened to that content or gone through it or whatever it happens to be, ask yourself, what's the next question that someone who's just consumed that initial content, what's the next question they're going to have? Then create a lead nurturing campaign that delivers this information over a series of emails. This is that follow-up content that I tell you about all the time, how important it is, the nurturing side of things. So then in that follow-up content, you then tell them that you've put aside some time in your calendar for you and them to meet to discuss their concerns further, should they be interested. And basically, you just offer it to them. Offer it. Don't be afraid in your content. You say, maybe it's something like, okay, you've responded to an initial piece of content about or financial fees or how poor performance, and then the next question then is, well, if okay, now I understand why how the fees work, or potentially what certain things could be causing the poor performance. But then maybe the next question naturally is, well, then what are the right investment solutions, or what is the right thing to do first? And then you can turn it back and say, well, now we find that once people have understood why their performance could be lackluster or could be underperforming, now we recognize that the one thing that they don't really know is they haven't done their financial planning first. And so you can bring the conversation back to financial planning first, because that's what's important. And so start educating them and teaching them now. When you come back to financial planning, the first question you need to ask yourself is, where do I get a good financial planner? And maybe you give them some information that they can turn to, or some areas they can turn to for that. And what are the questions they need to ask the financial planner? And how do they know whether a financial planner is true? So that you can just take it as far as you want and just ask yourself, what's the next question that somebody is going to have when they've responded to that initial piece of content? What's the next question they're going to have? And you can start to develop a lead nurturing program around that. So now we're talking about technology here. We get the idea, we get the concept. What technology do you need for this? Well, the first thing you need is you need to have a website. I don't care. If you're in business today, you need to have a website. It doesn't have to be an elaborate, robust, crazy website. I mean, that used to be the way it was, but now websites are just changing. The need for the website is really about a place to park good information that people can use to get educated, to get more educated on the services that they're looking for. I highly recommend using WordPress for this, and I've talked about it in previous episodes. Go onto our website at fee-basedfinancialplanningmastery.com. There's a toolbox and a whole series of resources. And those are the actual resources that I use to run my business. So go there and it'll basically walk you through getting who to use to set up your host, who to use to get your hosting account for your website set up, how to get your WordPress installation done, how to make your site look good through some of the premium themes. It's really easy and really, really inexpensive. I was talking with somebody who was interested in the Academy, and they were saying to me the other day, I'm interested in the Academy, but I just don't know if now is the right time. And, there's a certain cost involved, and I want to get involved, but I just don't know if now is the right time. And the reality is, because, I think what their big fear is that they get involved with something that's going to keep on building and costing more and more and more and more and more and more. Well, my belief is that you can do this. You can do this pretty inexpensively. There are certain things you do want to spend some money on, but you can set your marketing up very, very inexpensively, and I mean really inexpensively. So, and then once you get a good, clean marketing campaign working, where, really all it takes is getting one new client from a marketing campaign. Once you get that one new client, now you've got profit. You can reinvest into getting more clients. So you can ramp it up and have it basically pay for itself. So the first thing is to set up your WordPress site. All right. Now you can also do some other technology if you want. If you don't even want, let's say you don't even want to go down the WordPress site. You don't even want to set up the website right now. It's just too much. Fine. Then just set up a 1-800 free recorded message service. And so you could use something like Pat Live. That's PAT Live. Just Google Pat Live and you'll find an online resource that I've used in the past, and they're just a fantastic service. And then the other thing you're going to need, once you've got that, because it really is important that you do capture their information somehow. And I would recommend you do that using an email autoresponder and a form capturing service. And the best one that I know of, and I've tried a whole bunch of them. The best one for that, and it's in the resource on the website, is Aweber. So definitely check that out. Click on the Aweber link, and that'll take you right to getting set up. And it's really inexpensive. I think they've got like a 99-cent special or a very inexpensive initial trial service. So just get set up on the trial service and see how that goes. So that's really, from a marketing automation standpoint, that's all you need in order to get that set up. You need a website, you need some good content, you need the email autoresponder, and you're good to go. So, that would be definitely something that is easy to get started with, and that's what we're using. WordPress, Pat Live for the 800 recorded message, and then Aweber for our autoresponder. Now, another goal that you could be looking at is saying, listen, I want to make sure my contact management system is set up properly. Again, I know we've had a lot of questions on the content management systems. We've got some people in the Academy that are using Salesforce, some that are using, I think it's Redtail, and others that are using some other ones. But basically the question is, what's your goal with content management? or so not content management, contact management. What's your goal? What do you need it to do? And this is a big one. This is where just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is where that comes into play so much, because I've fallen into the trap of getting a new piece of software and diving right into the software and just thinking, oh great, I'll just use all the templates they've got and I'll just keep. And what ends up happening is I created a huge mess for myself. And I've indicated in the past that I actually started with Salesforce when I migrated over to Salesforce, and I stripped it right down. And I said, look, I'm just going to start from scratch with this. So I don't think that you need to, and I would actually encourage you not to use the templates that come with Salesforce, even though that they're there, and even though they say they've been built on with industry standards or whatnot. I would kind of just ask yourself, what are the things that I need to know about my clients, and what is the information I need to record for my business, and then just keep on building it, because it's cloud-based, it is very user-friendly if you do need to add things as you go. So we're using Salesforce, and then connected to all of that, you need to make sure that you've got a good email system, and that you've got a good calendaring system that communicates with everything, and you've got the ability, because Salesforce in our world is sort of the core tool that we're using. And so there's a lot of, you want to have the cloud-based services talk to one another. And so, you need to make sure that there's an easy way of having that happen. Well, we've come across some amazing tools that allow that to happen. And one of the things that we do in the Academy is that we go through, and we actually go through not only what the tool is that we're using, but how to set it up properly. Because I've found that, you can hire people to do this, but that's where a lot of the cost comes in. So I've just recognized that, with a little bit of effort, you can do it yourself. Salesforce is one of those ones where I do think it does make sense to spend some money and have a team come in to do it for you professionally and to get some of the customization set up. But what I've done in the Academy is I outlined all of the steps that I went through, and it was really my wish list. And I gave it to my developers, and I said, listen, guys, here's what I need to create, and here are all the checklists and triggers and everything that I need to have incorporated into my business. And I asked them to automate it for me. And then I watched and sort of paid attention as to how they did the automation. And oftentimes what I'll do in that is I'll do an online meeting with them and have them show me how they went through and customized something, and I'll record that on my end. So I've got it to as a reference tool that I can turn to afterwards and say, okay, well, if I need to add something similar, I can just go and do it myself. So we do have a lot of those recordings that are in the Academy for that. And really, a lot of it has to do with, even on the coaching calls, I'll go through and I'll just talk people through exactly how to use the services and how to set things up. So some of the services that we use that are, again, these are so far the ones that we're using are the free ones, which is even better. And that's pretty cool there. So with Salesforce, we've got the core Salesforce. I use the Enterprise or Pro or Enterprise. It's whatever the version is that you can automate things in that. And I think you just go through the different, what's the difference between versions page, and whatever the first one is where you can actually trigger the automation, that's the version that I have in Salesforce. And then we use a program called Appirio, Appirio. And Appirio, what it does is it communicates and basically sets up the communication between your Google Calendar, your Google Contacts. It basically communicates and sets them up so that whenever you add something into Salesforce, it automatically then updates your Google Calendar and it automatically updates your contacts. So it's pretty cool to be able to have that, because then you know how great it is if you've never used Google Calendar or Google Contacts and whatever. It's just a nice way of having that information available to you when you need it. We also use a program called Zapier. Zapier, and this is an amazing tool. I mean, totally amazing tool that allows us to have all of our, well, I shouldn't say all, because we've just started using it, but we've been able to get a lot of the programs, the other cloud-based programs, to communicate with Salesforce at this point and Aweber and have those two talk together, and it basically just puts that link between them, and it all happens in the cloud. FlipTop is another one, great one we've incorporated into Salesforce, so that now all my leads and contacts in Salesforce, what ends up happening is as soon as I open up a contact, FlipTop runs out and takes a look and says, okay, does this person have a record in LinkedIn? Do they have a record in Facebook? Do they have a record in Twitter? And then it basically says, oh, here they are. And all of a sudden now, if you take a look at our contacts now, I've got pictures So whatever picture that the person has used in their LinkedIn profile or their Facebook page or whatever, now all of a sudden that's been imported into my system, and I can see a picture of them. I know what their handles are. I can click on the handle. It takes me right to their information on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it happens to be. So if it's a new lead and maybe I've got a new lead coming into the office, I can actually do some research on that particular person before they even show up. So that's pretty cool, the way that we've been able to set that up. And, Salesforce, I'll tell you what you want to be using it for. And the way I've used it, and I've talked about it in the past, is Salesforce is a great methodology where you can have your leads database, and the leads database is really separate from your main database, and it's just really somebody who's identified themselves as a lead. So your leads database is there, and it's just a tab in Salesforce called leads. And so whenever somebody identifies themselves, or they sign up for an AWeber, if they sign up onto our email nurturing or for a piece of content or anything like that, instantly they get uploaded automatically. Mind you, and I'll just mention that as well. Automatically, they get uploaded into Salesforce, and that automatic uploading simply, it happens without me having to do anything, and that's pretty cool to be able to get that to happen, because then what that does is it notifies me. The system notifies me in a couple different ways that all of a sudden, boom, there's a new record, there's a new lead in Salesforce, and the only way they could have gotten there is if somebody else added them to our system, or if they added themselves to our system. And so that's pretty cool when I'm, just happen to be out and about, and it could happen in the morning. I get up, I check my email, and boom, there's 2 or 3 new leads that have suddenly shown up overnight, and I didn't have to do anything to get them. So, that's where we set that up, and we basically just track them and track the leads in our system, just that. They're basically just people who have shown an interest in what it is that we have, or some piece of content that we have. Then when that lead calls me and says, hey, I'd like to get together for an initial meeting, all of a sudden I'll convert that lead, and that's a little term that's used in Salesforce. I hit the convert button, and it converts them into a household in our main database. And now when it does that, it instantly converts them over to our main database as a household, but then automatically, and this is something I programmed into it, I automatically get it to set up a new opportunity so that I can track that opportunity. And all of a sudden now I get a notification saying, hey, there's a new opportunity. And that simply means somebody new has called and booked an appointment with me, because the only way they can get on our system is if they've booked the appointment. And all of a sudden, boom, I'm now notified that I've got a new appointment coming up. And so I can check out on the details on that. So that's the initial stage. It sets the opportunity up, sets the record up, and then I can track the stages of that opportunity that I go through. And it all happens. And every time they hit a different stage, certain automated triggers take place. And this goes back to the whole automation. I'm a real believer in automation. So certain triggers take place that, send out notifications to the client, send out notifications to my staff to do certain things on the client record, whatever it happens to be, certain tasks for follow-up things. So it's pretty amazing the way it all happens, just sort of choreographed, and nobody really has to do anything other than just keep an eye on their to-do list, because that's where a lot of the tasks get loaded onto. So so that's pretty cool. So being able to have a really robust contact management system is important. And again, we're using Salesforce, Aperio, and FlipTop is one of the things that's built into the Salesforce. So that's an amazing service. Now, some of the other services, some of the other tools that I'm using, I've talked about it in the past. And again, all of these tools are listed again on the resources page or the toolbox page on the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery website. But I'm going to start off right at the top, and I just basically took a list of everything that I'm using, and I'm just going to go down and tell you what it is, why I use it, and the power of it all. And keep in mind, a lot of these have been brought into place because I've paid lots of money for other services. And you know what? Some of the other services, they just didn't step up. They didn't deliver the goods. They didn't deliver what they were supposed to. And so as a result, we've had to make better other solutions. And as a result of some of these other solutions, I've got better results. So the first one we're going to talk about is MindMeister. Now, MindMeister is simply mind mapping. Mind mapping is the most... To me, ever since I came across mind mapping, it's changed my life. Changed my life in the sense that now I don't know about you, but I have, I guess what you might call entrepreneurial ADD, or, just basically shiny, bright objects sort of distract me. And I've always got lots of crazy ideas and lots of lots of noise and chatter in my head, and I never really had a way of getting that information out onto some sort of a document in a way that made sense to me. And I came across mind mapping, and all of a sudden my world was changed, because now I could just do brain dumps onto various mind maps and let my mind just sort of expand and just let it just flow with the ideas. And just, there was no reason, there was no, it wasn't any structure that I had to follow. I could just keep on putting the ideas down, depending on whether it was an extension of an existing idea or a brand new idea. I could just very quickly just start hammering that out. And by doing that, that allowed me to then step back and take a look at the idea, and then see if the idea had any commonalities, and I could restructure what parts attached to other parts. And so it just allowed me to just dump all this information down, but then very easily organize the information without having to worry about losing any of the ideas. So it was an amazing, amazing tool that we then incorporated into our business in other ways. So some of the other ways that I do is now when I come up with, even if it's a podcast show, or if it's a lead nurturing campaign, or if it's some sort of a workflow or process that I'm coming up with, I'll mind map it first. I will just go down and just let my mind go, and I'll mind map the whole process. I've got certain templates that I've created for keeping track of all my strategic projects that I'm working on. Templates that I use one template every single week at 4:00 in the morning. Every Monday morning, I'm pretty much up and I'm going through my ideal week template. That's it's in one of the previous episodes. If you want a copy of that, you can just simply go and download it and copy it into your own MindMeister database or MindMeister account. And it's just amazing. So check it out. Go check out MindMeister and go into the resources tab or the toolbox, and you can click on that, and it'll take you to how to get your free account, and you can try it out for free. So it's pretty amazing. The next one I use, and this one again has been another game changer in our business because of all the ideas and workflows and processes and everything that we need to do. We needed some way of keeping track of all of our projects, and some way of not only keeping track of the projects, but actually outlining what needs to be done when and by who, and being able to somehow manage all of that. Well, there's a tool called Basecamp, and if you've never used Basecamp, oh my gosh, again, this is an amazing project management tool that you can use, and I couldn't imagine living without it anymore, because it's just that ingrained in our business. So Basecamp allows me and my staff and everybody who's involved in the various projects, it allows us to keep everything organized. We can create templates on, for example, I've got a template on how to properly create and produce and post and do everything for a podcast episode. So what I did was I templated, and I said, okay, well, if I come up and I know I want to do another show, then I just simply say, okay, boom, grab the template, activate a template for a new project using this template, and I'll call it whatever the show is, and boom, it just it identifies everybody that's part of the project, outlines the whole project, and then you just start hammering through and just doing what you need to do. So Basecamp has been a huge game changer for me, and it also allows me to keep track of some of the crazy ideas that I come up with that maybe aren't appropriate for me to be working on right now. So you can do what's called archiving them. And so anytime I come up with an idea, I'll oftentimes just throw it onto Basecamp, and that way I won't lose it. And so I've got a whole database on Basecamp of ideas that I've come up with that maybe just now isn't the right time to jump on them and to act on them, but they are great ideas. Next thing that I use is FeedBurner. So FeedBurner, what the heck is FeedBurner? Well, FeedBurner is a tool that basically allows you to send out what's called an RSS feed. RSS stands for really simple syndication. So syndicate a feed on your website or a feed from your website to other places. So people can actually subscribe to an RSS feed. It's what allows me to communicate when my podcast is available to be uploaded, or not to be uploaded, but to be then posted on iTunes. So it basically controls all of that. So I've got a feed for my blog post. I've got a feed for the podcast. And what that does is that whenever a new episode gets up there, it tells anybody who's subscribed to that feed that, hey, there's a new episode and you can come check it out. So it's basically it's a very cool solution, and I do it all through FeedBurner. There are other things there, but I've never used other things because I started with FeedBurner, so I continue to use FeedBurner. So that's pretty interesting. Libsyn. Now, for those of you who want to do some podcasting or who are interested in that, you're going to need to get a Libsyn account. And what a Libsyn account is, understand that when you create content, when you create a show, whether it be audio or video or whatever, you need to actually store that video or audio on the internet somewhere. Well, there are certain places you can do that, and one of them is called Libsyn. And Libsyn is where I use it for mine, because one of the things that they do, which is a little bit different than others, is that they don't charge by the amount of download or bandwidth that's used by people listening to the show. They charge by how much bandwidth or capacity is used by the creator of the show. So I have an account where as long as I don't upload to the site more than my allotment, I'm within my account parameters. And so I've just done some quick math to determine, well, what are the parameters of my content? How many pieces of content do I create? A month, and so it allows me then to just upload what I need, but not pay for more than I need, and then anybody can listen to it, and there's no limits on people listening to it. So that's pretty cool. Libsyn is definitely one of those programs that you'd want to use for hosting a lot of your solutions. I use it religiously, and it's probably the most popular, from what I understand, probably the most popular hosting account that you can use for podcasting. Now, another one is Audacity. Audacity is a program. It's a free program that I downloaded from the internet. It comes in a Mac version, comes in a PC version, and it's what I do all of my audio recordings. So this episode I'm doing right now, it's being recorded on Audacity. I know other people have used things like GarageBand, which is definitely a tool that you can use that's that comes pre-installed on your Mac. I just didn't, when I started podcasting, I was using a PC, so I didn't have the luxury of having GarageBand on my Mac, which I'm using Macs now, but I didn't have that luxury. So I needed a solution. Well, I found Audacity, and I just went through a couple of the tutorials and figured out how to use it. And it's amazing how awesome that program is, and the fact that it's free. Oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. So we use Audacity, and it's great for doing edits and creating your audio part for your show. It just allows you to do everything you need to do. It's a very, very robust recording service, and you can pretty much do anything you need. I'm sure you can do very similar things in GarageBand. I've just never used it. Audacity is the one that I use, and I use it actually more often than you'd think. It's amazing how many times I just, over the weekend, my wife Kathy and I, we put together a 75th birthday video for her dad, and so she did some voiceover recording for some slideshow that we were doing, and I used Audacity to record all of that and then put it into the next program we're going to talk about, which is ScreenFlow. And ScreenFlow is an amazing tool. Oh my gosh, ScreenFlow is just awesome for being able to do screen capture videos, and I created a full slideshow. I've done actual video in ScreenFlow, so you just grab your iPhone and, take a small video, and you can import the video and, massage it and edit it and do it. It's amazing what you can do. And it's a very, fairly inexpensive program, but it's a very powerful program. And I think once you get ScreenFlow, you'll find that you're going to be using it more and more and more. I use it for recording how-to videos for office procedures and that sort of thing, for how to do all of that. Another one that I've used in the past that I don't use anymore, but my staff uses, is a program called Camtasia. And Camtasia is it's the PC version of ScreenFlow, although they do make a Mac version of Camtasia. But I personally like ScreenFlow for Mac users. But anyways, it's a very powerful tool that allows you to properly record certain things, whether it be anything that happens on your computer, you can record, and then when I've done actually I'll tell you, when I was using it for when I was doing the customization work in Salesforce, and I had the developers would walk me through how to do something. Well, I'd actually record that session so that I would always have a record of it, and I could turn to it after the fact if I needed to. So that's pretty cool. The next one I use is a little plugin for WordPress called Blueberry. And it's not Blueberry, it's Blueberry, Burry. And it's a great tool because what it allows you to do is to properly post your podcast episodes on your website, and it's got a great little player that, you can see the website, you can see the post for your podcast, and they can actually just push play and it starts streaming it right from the post. So we use Blueberry, and it's a very, I think I'm pretty sure it's free that we've used. So we just we downloaded it into our WordPress install, created it, and then just used the code that it creates in putting that in your system, and then it allows you to post any audio that's being hosted at an offsite storage facility like Libsyn. So if you kind of get where that went, it's basically, if you've got your website, you need to host your content, if it's audio or video, on Libsyn, but then Blueberry allows you to put a play button on your website in order to play it through. And again, that's Blueberry's another free one. Now, one of the big things, we were using an all-inclusive program, which was supposed to be an online marketing, content marketing program that communicated with Salesforce, and it did all your landing pages and squeeze pages and handled all your email nurturing and all this sort of stuff. And it was, for all intents and purposes, it's probably not a good starting point, but I just found I grew out of it very quickly. But one of the things I really wanted it for was to be able to create quick and easy and really good-looking landing pages or squeeze pages. And those are simply the pages where, if you have a piece of content, you want people to come to that content, but you want, before you give them the content, you want them to fill out some information, say, well, here's my name and here's my email address, and in exchange for giving you that, I want to watch the videos. So you can put whatever you want there. So we've got some videos that we're doing. We've got some videos. We've got just some electronic content, some ebooks, and that sort of thing. So we use OptimizePress for that, and so it's kind of unique in that you need to simply install a second version of WordPress, and you can do it anywhere. We installed it as a subdirectory in our website. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it, because I didn't know what I was talking about when we first got involved with that. But if you use the guys at Bluehost, they'll be able to help you with all of that very, very quickly. And once you've got it all set up, uploading a theme is very, very simple. And the guys at OptimizePress have some great videos on how to do everything, how to use the software for landing pages, for squeeze pages, for pretty much everything. So OptimizePress is pretty cool for using it. I think it was $97 for the membership or for the ownership of it. So love it. We've had such great success now with our OptimizePress landing pages. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize, and I use this more often than not, is iTunes. And so it's a program you do want to have installed on your computer. And if you don't have it, download it now and install it. Because one of the things that iTunes has in it is it has the ability of creating high quality MP3 or MP4 versions, because of how it's set up with its codecs in there. And so what that simply means is that you can create, so if you record something in Audacity and you've created a WAV file and you want to sort of make it a little bit smaller, a little more user-friendly, then you can strip out all the background information and just get a sort of a top-level piece of content. And then it allows you to convert that into a high quality MP3 or MP4 because it's got a converter in the program. And apparently, from what I understand, it's a very, very expensive converter that you get for free with the iTunes software. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. For online storage of photos, we use Fanfare. So it's PHANFARE. And I use it, and I tell you, my wife, who's trigger happy when it comes to the camera, she uses it all the time. And we've got a great online database of all of our private family photos, and anything we do within that regard. We can share certain folders. It's really just a very cool tool. I think it costs me all of $100 every year to be a member of that, and so I would highly recommend for photo stuff you use Fanfare. Now I use another program fairly regularly, which is called Google Reader. Now, I use that pretty much every week. My staff is using a Google Reader account. And what that does is it's the place that I go to consolidate all of the content that I want to know more about around the internet. So remember the RSS feeds I was talking about before? Well, that's one of the tools that you can use. The Google Reader is a tool that you can use to actually draw in all those RSS feeds. So whenever an RSS feed has a new piece of content, it instantly gets uploaded into my Google Reader account. And what that means is that I can now create almost my own customized magazine based on the content that I want to follow. And so it's pretty cool that way. So that's Google Reader. Now, one of the things that you do if you do start to create a lot of video, YouTube is great for storing video and posting videos and whatnot. But the one thing YouTube doesn't do that I haven't really seen is and I'm going to start looking into this because I know it's gotten a little bit better, is the storing of really high quality HD video. And I know YouTube is doing a lot more of that. But in the past, we've done our storage on a program called Screencast, and it's something that I was made aware of through ScreenFlow. And through Camtasia, because Screencast is sort of a division of, I think, the company called TechSmith or something like that. Anyways, we use Screencast. Again, I think it's $100 a year for a membership, and you can upload your content, and it gives you certain rights there. But I am starting to use YouTube quite a bit more for a lot of the hosting of video and that sort of thing. So, but you can use it. The Screencast is good because if we have a lot of internal videos that we use for our office, we can store it in there, and then all of those videos get played through our Salesforce platform because we've tied the two together. So that's kind of cool. We also use Google AdWords. Now, this is something that you're going to start using more and more once you get into more online marketing and online marketing. You're going to start using Google AdWords a bit. We use actually Google AdWords and some of the other AdWords similar products like the one you get with Facebook and some of the stuff you get for Twitter. But what we're going to do is we will actually test campaigns on Google first to see if the headline works. So if I'm trying to figure, okay, which headline should I use? Maybe what I'll do then is I'll go and I'll create an ad campaign, let it run for a couple of weeks. And what I'm doing is I'm sending them to that landing page, but the squeeze page, but it alternates the information that is coming in, and it allows us to test headlines. So I can send out, okay, I'm going to do 2 tests of headline A and headline B, put it out to my target market, my own geographic location, and then let the market tell me which one works better. So what they end up doing is we can actually watch the results and say, okay, I want you to feed this information out, deliver the ads to my market, and deliver them equally, but alternate between the two. And all of a sudden, then you start taking a look at the ads and say, okay, which one's actually capturing more leads? Which one's actually getting people to click on it? Well, then that gives you some insight that you can then use in developing some of your other marketing campaigns. So that lends itself right into Gmail then, because Gmail is our email provider. So we have what's a Google Apps account, and allows us to have our corporate email. Everybody gets a Gmail account, but it's at our corporate name URL. So that's great because I love it. When you really start to use Gmail, one of the things you get with that is you get to archive everything. And so you never actually delete anything unless it's, truly worthy of being deleted. But now you've got everything at your fingertips, and you can use the power search of Google to go back and find anything that you've missed. Because sometimes you might think of an email that you've had, and you know what, I know there's a word in that email but I can't remember where the email was. Just search for that word, and sure enough, it'll find it. I talked about Aweber. And Aweber is my email autoresponder. Love Aweber. Just a great program. So using it. So again, your Aweber is going to be used for your email nurturing campaign, but also is where you create your forms. And the form is what where you actually go to your website and have to type in your email address and your name and whatnot. Well, those forms are created in Aweber. So that you can get them onto the appropriate list, so you can start your nurturing campaign on them. Now, another one, Constant Contact. And I was at an industry event the other day, and we heard Constant Contact speak, or somebody promoting Constant Contact speak. And this is a great, again, email nurturing campaign provider. Now, I use both Aweber and Constant Contact, and I'll tell you why. Aweber I use because it has a great what's called double opt-in. And the double opt-in is simply if somebody comes and goes to sign up on your list, then you want to make sure that that is truly their email address, because you want to make sure your list is made up of good email addresses, and you don't want to give away information for free. So what I do is I use the double opt-in in Aweber. What that does is when somebody comes to your website and says, oh, there's the piece of content that I want, then they go there, it says, okay, you need to put your name and email address and everything into it. And then you do so. But then what it does is, but just before it delivers the content, it says to the person, listen, you need to go to your inbox and just confirm you are a real person. And so to do that, we've sent an email, confirmation email, to your inbox. Click on that, and then it'll take you right to your content. So that's what we use, and it works amazing because it makes your list that much better because you know that the emails on your list are real emails. So then why do I use Constant Contact and Aweber? Well, right now, Constant Contact has a great interface that works in Salesforce, and it's a free interface that you can install into your Salesforce program. And what that means is that any email that you send in Constant Contact, actually you can see that record in your Salesforce database, and you can see, okay, I sent this particular record or contact these emails, they opened it this many times, and so you can just see a lot of the what you've sent out to a certain person and what their responses are. So it gives you that, plus you can populate the list that you're sending to in Constant Contact from your list in Salesforce. So if you have your list, all your leads in Salesforce, you can say, okay, I want to send this email out to all of these leads. You can basically push those leads out to Constant Contact, and it'll use that list for sending out your information. So that's pretty cool, because the one thing with Aweber is that you can't just simply add somebody to Aweber and expect them to be able to get that, because as soon as you add somebody to Aweber, it goes through the double opt-in. So if you add a friend to Aweber or a prospective client to Aweber, they're going to get an opt-in saying, hey, you've been added to this list. You need to confirm this in order to get the content that you've asked for. Well, if somebody doesn't remember adding themselves to the list, then you've got a problem, and that you're not going to be able to get them on the list. Now, you do need to make sure through the spam regulations, you need to make sure that you have given consent, or you've obtained consent to have somebody on the list. So with Constant Contact, it does ask you to verify that you do have consent to send out to the names on the list. And consent could be verbal. So just make sure that whenever you get an email address, if they don't sign up themselves and you obtain it from them, that you do, make sure that you've got their permission. So it's just simply a matter of saying, hey, I'm going to add you to a list, my mailing list. You mind if I send out some content every so often? And so that's all you need to do. Now, this next one is one that I've been diving into in a big way, and wow, when you really can get over the learning curve with this one, it is tremendous. And again, in the Academy, we're going to be, because we've spent so much time in this section, we're going to be adding a lot of how-to videos on how to set your Google Analytics program up so that you can track exactly what's happening in your website, in your marketing campaigns, and all that sort of stuff. We're going to, you'll see exactly how to set it up. But Google Analytics, my goodness, what an amazing program to be able to see how people are interacting with your website, to be able to see how your campaigns are working. If you have, like, for example, we send out a flyer campaign. So we send out a flyer promoting a piece of content. I can now see, of the, call it 2,000 pieces that we sent out in a flyer, I can now say, okay, I know maybe over the next week or so, if we sent out a flyer, we're going to get, say, 10 leads from that flyer. Well, I can see that. I can see how many people came to the squeeze page, how many people then completed the form in order to obtain the information that we were offering them. So I can see all these great metrics where you can see how many people are showing up to your site, how many people are actually clicking on your pages, where they're going in your site, how long they're staying on your site, and it's just amazing the X-ray vision that you get from using Google Analytics. You can also take a look at, okay, how are people finding me? Are they finding me through typing in my name, or are they finding me through other means? And this is where the long tail keywords really become important, because then if you have keywords in your content that is important, and this is starting now, we're going to talk a little bit about Google, and you have keywords that people seem to be finding you for, or keywords that you want to be found for, then there's certain things you can do to enhance that search in the organic searches in order to find yourself. So, you can write more relevant content to those topics, and Google will then go out and find that relevant content. And next time somebody starts to search for, whether it be retirement planning for retirees or something like that, if you have basically set things up with your Google Analytics and all that sort of thing, then you can actually see how all of that works. Yeah, and it's just an amazing program for seeing how they found you with the keywords, and you can see what people actually typed in. And I found it interesting that some people, we found that they always spell the word financial incorrectly, or not always, but oftentimes they'll spell the word financial incorrectly. So we've started being searched for, or being found for. When you put together some ads, you can say, listen, I want you to show this ad whenever anybody types in the word financial, but I also want you to show it when they type the word financial in, but they misspell it. And so sometimes you'll capture a little bit more traffic as a result of looking for the common misspelled words as well. So Google Analytics is a huge program that it's a massive program. I mean, it's massive what it can do. And as you get into it, you can really, really begin to shed a lot of insight into how your online material is working for you. The other thing, sometimes if you're creating online material, you want to have graphics created. And I found a great ebook cover creator, which allows me to, if I have a piece of content that I've written, a report or something like that, I can actually take that report and make that report into a nice 3D cover that I can use to promote. So that's kind of an amazing tool as well. And I think it cost me all of $5 to have the image created. So you can do some pretty amazing things with that. Flickr as well is something that we use just as a place to store some of our corporate photos on our website, and so Flickr is what we use for that currently. LinkedIn, all the social media. I'm starting to see that there's certain times you want to use LinkedIn, certain times you want to use Facebook, certain times you want to use Google+, certain times you want to use Twitter. And so having accounts with all of those providers and actually having web properties with all of those providers is huge. Just huge, because I'm finding that obviously business owners work better with LinkedIn, but some of the retirees and whatnot, it's easier finding them on Facebook than it is to communicate with them on LinkedIn. So there's some interesting things there. Google Plus is really the place where you go if you want to find out more about your passions. So if you want to be found for your financial planning passion, then what you would need to do is you would need to set that up so that people can find you in those mediums that way. And I just found that the Google Plus, which is really quite interesting, is that it's more based on passions, people's passions, and so you're going to circle together with people on Google Plus based on the passion that you share. And then Twitter, all of the LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, Twitter, all of that sort of stuff. Again, a lot of it is filled, and the content is then filled through all the information that we talked about earlier. Moving on to drawing content to you that's relevant to your target market. Again, we use our Google Reader for that, and then we promote a lot of that content through all of our social mediums. So, all these pieces of software, the solutions that I'm talking about, they do coordinate with one another, and they work together, and it's nice to have that sort of dashboard in front of me on any computer that I move to. Using your iPhone, man, I consume so much content from my iPhone, whether it be reading, whether it be listening to podcasts or material. It's got a great 2x feature, which simply means if you click on double speed, what it will do is it will play the information back to you on double speed. So if it normally takes an hour to listen to an episode, you can click back the play button, and it will take a half hour, and you'll just get it done in half the time. So it's a great time saver there. Evernote, I've just started using Evernote in a more serious way. I'm still not using it to anywhere near its full capacity, but it is a program that I think is worthy of incorporating into your list. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and get it organized, but I think it's a very worthwhile program. And the final one that we're going to talk about today is Hootsuite. And this is another one that I use for managing all of our social media. So managing our LinkedIn account, our Facebook page, and our fee-based financial planning mastery group on LinkedIn. I can manage it from Hootsuite and my Twitter and all that sort of stuff. So it's a nice dashboard for all of that. It gives great metrics on what tweets were getting retweeted, and so you can really garner a lot of great information and manage it all through Hootsuite. It's also a great tool for teams, setting up teams in your office. So if you've got a web property and you just want people from team A to work on that, you can then say, okay, here's the team in Hootsuite. Here are the different teams that we have. Here's who's part of each team, and then when you can assign it to team A, and suddenly everything gets assigned to the team members on team A, and vice versa on team B. So it's definitely worth not its weight in gold, but it is a pretty valuable tool. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all the core ones that I use. There are some little ones here and there that I'm using as well, but those are really the core ones that I use. So, we show you and work with you in the Academy, and we show you how to set all of these up, and we work with you on some of the coaching calls, or I actually have had some 911 calls where people say, listen, I just can't get this set up, and so we'll just sit there and go online and work together and get it all set up for you. So my hope is that allows you to save a lot of money, because in one of the tests that I did where I jumped on board with a program that allowed me to do all of my landing page creation and lead nurturing and all that sort of stuff. It just at the end of the day, it became very slow and didn't really work as reliably as I wanted. And I couldn't always determine where the information from tracking was coming from. So we just decided to set everything up ourselves and have really been benefiting as a result, because now we know we pretty much own and control all of the data that we want, and we now have created little dashboards in our Google Analytics account that I can click on very quickly and say, okay, where are all my leads coming from? Where are all my clients coming from? Click on a button, it just resorts and filters them, and all that information is right at my fingertips. So, so definitely check it out. I know probably by the time this show comes out, the Academy registration will be closed for the next session, but there is a waiting list, and I would encourage you to get on the waiting list at www.ilovefinancialplanning.com, because if you are interested in the Academy and sort of finding out everything you need to know about migrating your business to a fee-based planning practice and learning all the marketing techniques and getting content for your marketing and, really just taking advantage of everything, then definitely check out ilovefinancialplanning.com, because that's where you're going to get the information that will allow you to find out more about the Academy. So, but as I say, by the time you get this episode, the Academy session will probably be closed to new registrants, because we open it up for a limited time, a limited number of spots, and then we work with those students in the Academy to make sure that they're getting the most out of it and that they're getting everything that they hoped out of it. Because my goal in the Academy, the first thing I want to do is I want to get them to charge their first fee as quickly as possible, so that they can get their first fee, which covers their entire membership into the Academy, and then for the rest of their life in that Academy, they're there, and it's the way I think it should be done. So, anyways, so a lot of information here. I don't know what my time. I have a feeling I've gone a little bit over. Actually, we're a little bit over. So I apologize if I took more of your time. But as I always say, you can always turn me off if you don't like it, and the cost of this episode is pretty reasonable. So but hopefully you got your money's worth out of this one. I went a little bit over on this, but it's because there's a lot of information there, a lot of tools that I'm using that are allowing me to run my business as efficiently as I am. And when you can get them all working together and doing exactly what you need, there's a lot of great technology. When you come up with an idea or a frustration or a struggle that you just can't seem to get something to work, or you just want this to happen, what people do is they just send me an email and say, hey, listen, this is my struggle. This is what I'm trying to find. I can't figure out how to get this to work. Is there anything you can recommend? Yeah, well, you know what? Go to the resources page. Go to the toolbox in the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery website, because all the tools that I use are listed right there. So get out there and build yourself a better business.
You've been listening to Scott E. Plaskett, a certified financial planner and industry veteran in the world of fee-based financial planning. Want free resources to help you build a better fee-based financial planning firm? Visit ilovefinancialplanning.com right now to register for Scott's Inner Circle email list, where you'll get front-of-the-line updates on the latest resources that are driving profits to Scott's fee-based financial planning practice. All of the resources are pulled directly from the highly acclaimed Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery Academy. Go now to ilovefinancialplanning.com. Build a better business and make more money with your fee-based financial planning practice today.